Alright, so in this video we're going to be looking at subtracting positive and negative numbers. Last video we were looking at adding, and the biggest difference between here is that when we're using our tiles, we're going to be removing tiles rather than adding them like in our last video. So we'll start off with this very simple example. We have 4 minus positive 4 minus positive 3, and what we're going to do, just to start off, we're going to use our positive 1 tiles, and because it says we have 4 of them, at the beginning we're going to put down 4 of our tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now instead of adding like we had done with the positive ones, we're going to take our initial starting point and we're going to remove from it. The negative sign is going to tell us that we're going to be removing, and the positive 3 means that we're going to be removing 3 of our positives. We're going to take these, we're going to put them off to the side. All that we're left with is our positive 1. So our first example was pretty straightforward. It was just to get you in the idea of removing rather than adding. This one we're going to continue on with it, but there's going to be one twist that we're going to use with our tile method. So if we look here, our equation is positive 2 subtract positive 3. Now if we look here, we're going to start off just the way we did before. We have 2 positives, just like our equation says, or expression says, and now it's telling us to remove 3 positives. But if we look here, we only have 2 positives. We can't possibly remove 3 of them. We need to change what we're starting with. So this is the big difference between the adding and the subtracting using our tile method. We have to remember our lone pairs. So in our last video, we talked about how a 1 positive and 1 negative, they'll cancel out to equal 0. Think of it as 1 take away 1 equals 0. So we can represent positive 2 in actually lots of different ways. So if we have 3 positives, for instance, right here, and 1 negative, this positive and that negative will kind of cancel out to be 0, leaving 2 left. So right here, what we have represented is still just our positive 2 at the beginning of our equation. So now we can actually look at our full expression, and we can start to remove what it's telling us. So we have positive 2 represented with these 3 positives and the 1 negative, and now we're going to take away our 3 positive tiles. So 1, 2, 3, and what we're left with is negative 1. So that's one way of representing how 2 take away positive 3 equals negative 1. Alright, so our last example is one that a lot of people have a little bit more difficulty with. A lot of people have trouble understanding what happens when you take away a negative. Like here we have 2 take away or subtract negative 1. A lot of people don't really conceptually understand what this means. They tend to rely on rules like if you take away a negative, your number will always go up. But the point of using this tile method is to really understand the meaning behind these tiles, behind these equations. So we're going to start off with our first number here, our positive 2. So we have 2 positive tiles. And we're going to take away a negative tile. But the problem is here, we don't have any negative tiles to take away. So we're going to first put one in. But now in our equation, we have a positive and a negative that equals 0, and a positive 1. So now we don't have positive 2 to start with, we only have positive 1. So in order to counteract that, we'll add one more positive tile on there. So now these 2 equal 0, plus 1 plus 1. We now have plus 2 for our starting value. Now we can start to do our equation. So we have plus 2 represented by the 3 positives and the 1 negative, and the expression tells us to take away 1 negative tile. So we can reach in, take it away, and what we're left with is plus 3. So by removing a negative, we've in essence increased the value of the expression. So that concludes our brief introduction into subtracting positive and negative numbers. Let me know in the comment section below if it was helpful, and any other math videos that you'd like to see in the future.